Welcome back, deep divers. Today, we're gonna try to wrap our heads around something pretty wild.
It sounds exciting.
It is. It is. So remember how a few years back, then President Trump called Bitcoin, well, a scam?
Yeah, I remember that. Pretty harsh.
It was. But now he's back for a second term, and something's changed. Big time.
You're talking about the whole crypto champion thing.
Exactly. We've got like a mountain of articles and analyses, even some spicy social media posts, all pointing to this major shift.
So what are we diving into today? Trying to figure out what's behind this crypto comeback.
That's the mission, and, what it could mean for, well, everything. I mean, the guy's president again, his policies matter.
No kidding. So where do we start?
Let's go back to the beginning. Trump's first term, he made it pretty clear he wasn't a fan of crypto.
He definitely did. Loudly.
But then fast forward to the 2024 campaign, and suddenly he's not just accepting crypto donations, but like actively wooing those crypto investors and entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that was a head scratcher for a lot of people. Like, what changed?
Right. And it wasn't just small change either. Almost half of all the corporate donations to his campaign came from the crypto world. Companies, executives, the big players.
Yeah, some individuals dropped like tens of millions. It was crazy.
Well, it was a statement for sure. So
Yeah.
clearly something shifted in his thinking, and I think that shift is most obvious in the executive order he signed right after winning the election.
Ah, yes, the executive order. It's all about, what was it? Promoting the advancement of cryptocurrencies in the U.S., right?
Right. But it gets, well, pretty specific. And one thing that really jumped out was this whole idea of, get this, a national digital asset stockpile.
No, hold on. For our listener, what exactly does that mean?
Well, it means the government could basically become like a giant holder of cryptocurrency. Think Bitcoin, Ether, maybe others.
Whoa, okay. Like a national reserve, but instead of gold bars, it's crypto.
Exactly. And the order even suggests that they could build this stockpile using cryptocurrencies seized by the government, which actually isn't totally new. The U.S. Marshal Service has been auctioning off seized Bitcoin and stuff for a while now.
Right, right.
Okay.
So what's so different about this? Is it the scale?
It could be. But also, remember that campaign promise Trump made to never sell off the government's Bitcoin. Even though, oddly enough, the executive order doesn't actually mention Bitcoin specifically.
Interesting. So are we like looking at the first step towards the U.S. government becoming a major player in the crypto market?
It's definitely a possibility, and that raises a ton of questions, like what would the purpose of this stockpile even be? Would they use it to try and stabilize the market, or maybe even try to, I don't know, control it in some way?
And what about the impact on regular, individual investors?
Right. Would people feel safer knowing the government's involved? Or would it freak everyone out, like Big Brother's watching over their Bitcoin?
Yeah, good point. Those are some heavy implications. But before we get too deep into all that.
I know what you're going to say. We need to get to the other parts of the executive order.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot more to unpack, like that whole bit about protecting people and companies using blockchain technology from, and I quote, persecution.
Persecution, wow, strong word.
Yeah.
What exactly are we talking about here?
Well, from what I gather, it seems to be about protecting like developers and miners,
Yeah.
letting them do their thing without too much interference. There's also a big emphasis on self-custody rights. That means letting individuals hold their own crypto without relying on big exchanges or whatever.
Interesting. More control for individuals, less power to the big institutions. Sounds very in line with that whole decentralization idea that crypto's all about.
Right. But doesn't that make regulating the whole thing, well, trickier for the government?
That's a good question. It's like they're trying to embrace this whole decentralized, wild west of crypto, but also keep some control over it.
Yeah. It's a tough balancing act. And it gets even more complicated when you factor in the executive order's focus on stablecoins. It explicitly mentions promoting the U.S. dollar globally by supporting dollar-backed stablecoins.
Wait, so they want to promote crypto innovation, but also maintain the supremacy of the U.S. dollar? Isn't that kind of contradictory?
You could say that. It's like trying to ride two horses going in different directions. And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, hold on. Before we get into that, we need to talk about the team Trump's put together. the people who are actually going to be driving this whole crypto agenda.
Right. It's one thing to have policies, but you need the right people to, make it all happen.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems like he's gone all in on surrounding himself with some serious crypto folks. Like, for starters, he's nominated Paul Atkins to chair the SEC.
Paul Atkins. For our listeners who might not be, super familiar with the ins and outs of financial regulation, the SEC is kind of like the big watchdog for the stock market, and they've been increasingly interested in crypto lately.
They have. And Atkins, he's known for being, pretty market-friendly. He's not a big fan of, heavy-handed regulation, which is a big difference from the previous SEC chair, Gary Gensler, who was a lot stricter when it came to crypto.
Oh, yeah, Gensler was definitely more on the hawkish side. So, yeah, just the Atkins appointment alone sent shockwaves through the industry.
Oh, absolutely. It was a clear sign that the regulatory winds were changing. And then on top of that, you've got Hester Pierce, crypto mom, as she's affectionately known in the crypto world. She's now heading up a new SEC crypto task force.
Crypto mom. Gotta love that nickname. But she's more than just a catchy name, right?
Right. She's been a strong advocate for digital currencies for years now. She's all about creating a regulatory framework that, encourages responsible innovation in the crypto space rather than just shutting it all down.
Yeah, she's definitely pro-innovation. Having her in charge of that task force is, a pretty big deal for the industry.
It is. So with Atkins leading the SEC and Pierce heading up this crypto task force, it really looks like Trump is serious about creating this pro-crypto environment. But wait, there's more. He also brought in Scott Bessent to run the Treasury Department.
Oh yeah, Scott Bessent. He's another big name in the crypto world. I mean, he's a seasoned hedge fund manager with a pretty clear pro-crypto stance.
Yeah, and this appointment, along with the others, it really paints a picture of where this administration is going with all of this.
It does. It's like they're putting together a crypto dream team.
A dream team, exactly. And speaking of dream teams, we can't forget about the crypto ball. That big event they had right after Trump's inauguration.
Oh, yeah, the crypto ball. That was quite the spectacle. It was like lawmakers, cabinet members, and all the big names in the crypto world all together in one room.
It was a real coming out party for crypto, and it really highlighted this newfound alliance between the government and the crypto industry.
It did. And it was at that event that David Sachs, Trump's, his crypto and AI czar.
What a title, right?
I know, right? Anyway, it was at that event that Sachs made that bold declaration, the one that's been making headlines. The war on crypto is over.
Yeah, he seems to really believe that that America is about to become, the world's innovation leader again, and that crypto is going to be a big part of that.
He does. It's definitely an optimistic view of things.
Yeah.
But it's also, it's a pretty bold statement, and it raises some big questions like, is this really a new era for crypto? Or are we just, getting caught up in all the hype?
Yeah, that's a good question. And, even if it is a new era, what does that actually mean for, for the average person?
Right. Like, how does this all trickle down to, to everyday life?
Exactly. So for our listeners out there, let's take a minute to zoom out a little bit. We've covered a lot of ground here, from Trump's surprising change of heart on crypto to the key parts of his executive order and now the team he's put in place. It's a lot to take in.
It is. So what's the big takeaway here?
Well, I think the key takeaway is that the landscape is definitely changing. I mean, the rules of the game are being rewritten, and it's happening fast. Trump's embrace of crypto has, it's injected this massive dose of energy and, frankly, uncertainty into the space.
Uncertainty is the right word. I mean, it's exciting, but it's also a little, unsettling.
Right. We've got this executive order that seems to be pulling in opposite directions, promoting innovation and individual freedom on the one hand, but also hinting at more government control on the other. And then you've got this whole national digital asset stockpile thing, which, let's be honest, raises more questions than it answers.
Exactly. And it's not just about the U.S. either. Whatever happens here, it's going to have ripple effects around the world. Other countries are watching, and they're going to have to figure out how they want to respond.
Right. Are we going to see more countries jumping on the crypto bandwagon? Or are some going to, double down on their skepticism and try to, crack down on it even more?
That's a great question. And I think it really underscores the fact that we're at this pivotal moment. I mean, the decisions being made right now, they're going to have a huge impact on everything, on how we bank, on how we invest, even on how our governments operate.
Yeah, this isn't just some niche tech thing anymore. This is about the future of, well, of everything. And it's worth taking the time to, to really understand what's going on.
It is. The future of finance, it's being written right now, and it's being written in code. And it's up to all of us to, to make sure that that code is written in a way that, well, that benefits everyone, not just a select few.
Well said. Well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today. I mean, this whole Trump crypto comeback, it's been a wild ride so far.
It has. From that, that unexpected change of heart to the executive order and the team he's assembled, it's definitely clear that things are about to get very, very interesting.
For sure. And this story is just getting started. I have a feeling we'll be revisiting this topic quite a bit in the coming months as things unfold.
Oh, absolutely. There are still so many unanswered questions. Like, what are the potential risks and opportunities that lie ahead? And what can people do to prepare for this new world of crypto? We're going to explore all of that in the next part of our deep dive.
All right, so we've got this whole picture laid out now. I mean, Trump's basically a crypto evangelist, right? Executive order, pro-crypto team, the works. But what happens now? What's the next chapter in all this? What should our listeners really be keeping an eye on?
Yeah, it's the big question, isn't it? I mean, predicting the future is always, well, a bit of a gamble, especially with something as unpredictable and fast-moving as crypto. But there are some, I think, key areas we can look at to try and get a sense of where things might go.
Okay, so where do we even begin with all of this?
Well, I think we have to start with that whole national digital asset stockpile thing. It's potentially a game changer, I mean, for better or worse. Just imagine for a second the U.S. government holding like a huge chunk of the world's Bitcoin. I mean, other major cryptocurrencies too. That would give them a lot of power, right? Influence over the market.
Yeah, I guess I can see the appeal. Like, if the government's a major player, wouldn't that, I don't know, make things more stable? Less of those crazy price swings we've seen in the past?
Maybe. But, there's always a flip side. What if they start using it to manipulate the market, for their own benefit?
Mm-hmm.
Or what if they use it as some kind of like foreign policy tool?
Yeah.
Imposing sanctions or even like waging financial warfare using crypto. It's not impossible.
Okay, yeah, now that you mention it, that is a little unsettling. It's like this stockpile could be a powerful tool, but like any tool, I guess it all depends on who's holding it and what they plan to do with it.
Exactly. And that's why, it's so important for people to understand what's happening and, to be a part of this conversation. The future of crypto, it's not going to be decided like in some back room somewhere. It's going to be shaped by the choices that everyone makes. Governments, businesses, individuals, all of us.
So for our listeners out there, I mean, for anyone who's maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed by all of this, what's the main takeaway? What should they remember?
I think the most important thing is to stay informed. This whole space, it's changing constantly. Don't just, blindly follow the hype or get spooked by all the doomsday scenarios. Do your own research,
Mm-hmm.
Read, think critically, try to understand all sides of the story.
That's great advice. And it's worth remembering this isn't just some, techie thing happening off in some digital corner of the world. This stuff has the potential to affect everyone. How we bank, how we invest, how our governments work, everything.
It really does. We're literally talking about the future of finance here. And it's being written, in code.
Mm.
And it's up to all of us to make sure that code, that it works for everyone, not just a select few.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, I think we've given our listeners plenty to think about today. Unpacking this whole Trump crypto comeback, it's been quite a ride. I mean, the executive order, the team he's assembled, it's definitely clear that things are about to get really, really interesting.
They are. And this is just the beginning. I mean, who knows what twists and turns are coming next? I have a feeling we'll be talking about this a lot more in the future.
Oh, absolutely. So to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been a wild one. And stay tuned for more. We'll be back soon with more insights, more analysis, and more deep dives into the crazy world of crypto. Until then, happy exploring.